I never saw such beautiful landscaping.
You own a landscaping business. You're incredible.
You're listening to the Outdoor Project Podcast. Hear real conversations with leaders in the hardscape and landscape industry. Listen on Spotify or watch behind the scenes and more on YouTube. This podcast is sponsored by Alliance. Quality products formulated for all of your hardscaping needs. Glues, sands, edging, and more from Alliance.
There's a sponsor right there, man.
Yeah.
Been waiting for that for a long time. Shout out to Alliance.
That was a sick intro. That's legit.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not
serious.
bad.
We need to work on ours.
I know, that was really good.
Yeah.
Ours set high.
Hey, Ben's the man. He's available. He's available for hire.
Okay.
Hey, so the Philadelphia Eagles are 6-0.
It's a beautiful thing.
There's not a lot of Eagles fans until we won the Super Bowl.
I know.
Now they're popping up everywhere.
I think all the rat Cowboys fans that aren't from Dallas are all just like, well, we need a new team to hop on, and maybe it was the Eagles. But we don't want them.
on edge last weekend? I can't help it.
It's just the nature of being a Philadelphia fan. We've gone through so much, and
my goodness.
usually, anytime that there's a lead, it's never safe in Philly.
Never.
There's never that. Like, all right, we're up 14 points. It's smooth sailing. It never is.
I'm
Not
like,
with
shut
Philly.
up.
There's too much history there. There's too much trauma.
Yes.
It's bad.
So Premier Outdoors. It's been since the last podcast. You were our first podcast.
Yeah, I know.
There's so much has changed. We followed each other. I follow you. We got a new counterpart. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Catherine.
Okay, Catherine. What is your nickname?
Concrete Kathy.
Concrete
I
Kathy.
go by that.
That's not really her nickname. That's more of a. That's a totally different person.
That's
really.
That's my alter ego.
Yeah.
That's your alter ego.
Yep.
She only comes out when it's time to lay pavers.
Yeah,
like
this
not in
is
this
Catherine
setting.
right now.
Yeah.
Concrete Kathy is.
Like nobody's actually
on the
doing work
pavers.
around here, so like she's not Concrete Kathy.
So
when
she's
it's time to
just
get down to
Kathy.
business, it's Concrete Kathy.
Right.
So you're laying pavers.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
I do everything.
Wow.
Non-stop.
Stop.
That's an amazing part. So what has changed? Look back 2-3 years ago. What has changed, and moving forward, where's Premier Outdoors headed?
So what year was that? That was probably beginning of 2020.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Yeah.
It was like right when everybody started getting sick.
Yeah. I think, so, man, everything's changed, really.
Yeah.
So that was...
There's some different employees now.
Yep.
You got,
We got, so shortly after that, the beginning of that season, about April, we hired Anthony, who's been with us ever since, and since he started with us, we used to just do decks and patios, and we had like a real kind of tight niche on the type of projects that we did.
Now, Anthony's the guy that's building the structures and stuff.
He came in with like I started with no experience, learning as I went. So, and the deck stuff, it's not super complicated, but any new thing that we tried to do, it was me leading the charge, because like I taught everybody else that worked with me how to do. So like my knowledge was the ceiling of what we could do.
Right.
And if we needed to figure out something new, I had to be the one like leading the charge, figuring it out. So he came in with all this experience from building houses and doing everything. So for him, it was like, oh, this stuff's super easy. Like we're just building, this small roof over a deck, like no problem. And that year in 2020, we built our first like roof structure over a deck. And he was like, as soon as people see these pictures and this gets out, everybody's going to want one. And he was right.
Yeah.
I think every single project we've done this year has a roof on it. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much our project size and scope has exploded just with his expertise hopping on. It's wild.
Just, you went from designing, obviously, and I don't know, who's doing most of it. We can touch base on that again, but now you're into engineering, right? I watched you guys build it. I'm like, how's that attached to the house?
Yeah.
How's that roof not going to leak? I remember watching that post and being like, wow, he's jumping into some big things right now.
Yeah, we went straight into that first job of the roof. It was like it was a big project, and luckily the homeowner kind of like talked me into it, because they were like, we see all your work, we love what you do, but we want a roof over it. Like we want like a screen porch. And I was like, I don't know, like we don't really get into that. And they were like, we want to hire you, but we need a roof over it.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, it's got a fireplace, it's got chandelier, it's got everything, basically a full addition almost. And Anthony was right. As soon as that project got out, I think probably 75% of our projects have a roof over it.
Now, did you hire Anthony for that project, or did you hire him
No.
before and it just kind of led into that? Now
Yeah.
you know you can do that.
Exactly, yeah. So he, I wasn't even looking to hire. He reached out to me, and I was like, I don't know if I can afford to pay somebody with your level of expertise and all this kind of stuff. And we just met a couple times, and it was like, I think we can make this work. And kind of just went from there. And it just so happened, like, as the year went on, it was kind of like I got a good idea of what he's capable of and what we could now tackle.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like a natural evolution of, like, me wanting to challenge all of us with doing cooler stuff and building bigger projects. And it let me to, like, just be able to imagine it, and I don't have to be the one that actually figures out every little detail. I can be like, all right, Ant, basically, I drew this picture. What do you think?
Make it happen.
Let's go. Yeah. And that like, it catapulted the business, taking the projects to a totally different level. And it also catapulted my design expertise, because, like, now I don't feel like encumbered that, like, oh man, I got to figure out how to build this. It's like, now I feel like when I do a design, I'm just drawing pretty pictures, and, like, it's not all on me to figure it out. Me and Ann will talk about it together, like, yo, what do you think about this roof line tying into the house? Like, how are we going to make these transitions? And it's just been awesome.
Yeah, with these complete outdoor living spaces, having
Yeah.
structure is huge. I mean, before you used to do pergolas, maybe simple little, structures like
Yep.
that, but now building real structures with, heat under them. I don't know if you've done any
Yep.
heat or anything.
Everybody
it just
wants it.
adds such a big element now. And
Yeah.
that was my next question. Now, moving forward into designs and stuff, how do you relate that? You know what I mean? From where you were till now, it just adds so much value.
Yeah, I don't really like spend too much time thinking about it till, like, Ant will bring something up, like, we just are like 95% done a project right now, and, like, we're sitting back looking at it, and he's like, man, this is crazy, quite a deck and patio, because, like, that's what it was when he started. It was like we just built decks and patios. Most of them are pretty small, and now it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, I don't know what we're gonna do next, or I just want to get better as a designer and, like, do cool stuff. And now Catherine works with us for over a year, and just with each of these hires, it's like, I think with Anthony, I realized how beneficial it is to bring somebody in with a skill set that's so much greater than yours.
Yeah.
So Catherine kind of did the same thing with organization. First of all, is like, that's my downfall. So, like
in the business sense, like everyday business, the
Little bit.
organizational.
I'll let her talk
Yeah.
about it, but
Yeah.
a little bit of everything, really. And obviously she's laying pavers too, so.
Wow. Yeah, so your addition, Kathy. Why don't you
Yeah.
expand on that and how you fit into
Should we make it
outdoor?
clear
Yeah.
that it's only Concrete Kathy, Concrete Kathy or Catherine,
Oh, Catherine, so no Kathy,
Yeah.
Catherine.
unless it's Concrete Kathy.
Concrete Kathy, yeah. Catherine or
All right,
Concrete
Catherine
Kathy.
or Concrete.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right, here we go, Catherine.
Yeah. So my technical role is Director of Global Expansion, which is perfectly vague because I kind of do a little bit of everything.
How did
So-
you come up with that title?
I think you came up with it, right?
It was
I
a
said
little bit of both of us.
Yeah, I just, when we started talking about my role, and we knew each other before I started working here, so we kind of talked about what he had in mind for this role, and it was a lot of different things. And since then, it has evolved to many other things. And I was like, I just want a good title. And then we came up with Director of Global Expansion. So I'm really involved with, like, a little bit of everything. I like organization and try to keep things on the business end rolling.
Yeah. Kind of like wrangling me and, like, trying to create a system that I can adhere to.
Yeah.
I remember from the first podcast too, and
Yeah.
it stands out. And you always said, "Listen, don't be afraid to let people know that. Listen, I don't know this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need help. You know what I mean? And you were at that point where, like, you're trying to reach out and say, I want to grow big, but I'm going to need some help with this. And I think that's where you fit in, right?
Yeah. And I think there's like two sides of any business where it's like Sean is wildly creative and he creates these beautiful spaces and stuff, and like usually creative people might not be great at the business side of things or like staying organized or staying on top of that kind of stuff because their interest is creating, not necessarily saying you're a great businessman too, Sean. I don't mean to discount that.
Right.
But I'm saying, usually you have an interest in one of the two areas.
Yes.
So I think that he realized in order to take to a next step, he needed more people around, and that's where I came in, and now we're doing, big roofs with Anthony, and we're trying to expand the business on the business side with me. So
whose idea for the Hard Working Happy Hour podcast, and how does that fit in with everything, especially with social media, right? Because a lot of what you were doing was taking a lot of your time was doing the social media piece, designing, and then being on the job with just a few guys, and now having Anthony and you. How does that play a role into social media and expanding?
Yeah.
Globally.
Yeah.
Big. I mean, that's what I love.
Look at us now. We're in Louisville, Kentucky. We're getting there. We're making our way global.
Progress. Yeah. We are, yeah. I think we just saw the podcasts are obviously exploding. People love consuming that kind of content. And I think it's great for, like in the trades field, people have, they're working away, they got headphones on. It's a great time to consume content. And we'd get a lot of questions on social media about, really in-depth things that you can't cover in like a 15-minute YouTube or like a 30-second clip. Yeah. So it's just much more long-form answers, and we saw a need for the people who follow us. So that was one of the first things we talked about when we started. We got to get a podcast out. And we, I think it was like maybe like 10 a.m. we were like, we got to do a podcast. And then like 2 p.m. we were at Guitar Center buying all the equipment. Like, let's do this. Okay. Yeah. Let's make it happen.
I think the initial thing for me, like wanting to do it was, like you said, like I see so much on social media about everybody being like a guru and knowing everything and like figuring it out. And I also remember when I first started, like feeling like I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything. Like I'm just trying to like find my way in the dark here as a business owner. And it's still like that to an extent, and I feel like it always is. But you have all these people out there that are like pretending like they have it figured out, and all you have to do is buy their system and all this stuff. And I'm not trying to say you can't learn a lot from mentors and whatever, but I just felt like there wasn't a lot of people like just talking about the stuff that they don't know and talking about like what they're trying to do to get better. And like that's kind of like the messaging I always wanted a way to get across. Like you can do anything you set your mind to. It's going to be really hard. I don't have all of this figured out by any means, and I just think like especially people starting out, but at all stages, like people need to know like it's normal to not have it all figured out and be like, this is so hard and I don't know what to do next to make it better. You know what I mean? It's like, so I felt like people just need like to hear that, and it wasn't until really like linking up with people on Instagram that like you start talking to other people that aren't necessarily in your area and they're having a similar struggle. So I think it's something that is good for a lot of people to just know like, hey, we're all out here just trying to figure it out every day. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my spur of it.
It's funny you come up, you guys have a podcast. We came out with a podcast, and the same thing happened to us. We just finished with RC Outdoors. And we brought in Matt from Picture Lake Landscape, that's out of Buffalo, right? So the power of social media was I built a relationship with RC Outdoors. We did the podcast out in Chicago with him. I have a guy an hour away from me that I don't even know that knows Richard from RC Outdoors, right? So Richard hits me up and is like, dude, there's Matt. He's an awesome guy in Buffalo. We're in a group together, group chat or whatever. He needs some product. So now I sell Matt all his products. You know what I mean? And that was just from the podcast. So those are just little things on how a podcast works or how this social media works. You know what I mean? And do you think you're going to reach other contractors? Do you think the educational piece to that, and I know we talked about it in the first podcast, is you wanted to give away information and you wanted to educate people for free. You didn't want anything for it. Do you think the podcast helps do that for contractors?
Definitely. I think we're kind of like all of our social medias are growing like pretty good. I think when we had talked, we were probably at like maybe 30 or 40,000 total followers across all our platforms, and we just got over 600,000 recently. So like that's growing like crazy. Wow. But like Catherine said, like there's only so much that like, you know, for that in-depth stuff, like a lot of people reach out to us about, you know, really specific questions about stuff that like we don't really have time to like sit there and do like a 10-minute explanation about, you know, exactly what they're talking about. But there's a lot of people that are just looking for like just general business stuff. So we just thought that there was another avenue for that, and it's a totally different type of person that's going to like consume a 30-second clip on Instagram versus listen to 1 hour audio only. Like, so that's where we feel like we don't have to like dress it up to like be flashy. Like it's just, people are going to it for the raw information, and you know, we try to keep it pretty fun, but it's also like, it's kind of just like us talking shop, and like other people are kind of there hanging out, listening, kind of following along. So that's kind of the vibe we want with it. Yeah. So
I know a lot of these contractors that aren't using social media are a little scared of getting into social media because it does take up a lot of their time, right? And they're kind of worrying about their workers working and them not working and doing all of the promotional stuff. And I think I seen on one of your podcasts, you guys were like, all right, they're not going to see me for a week. I got to go in and start designing. You know what I mean? How does that affect like your workers and stuff? Do you get feedback from them? Do they mind you guys? I mean, they know your job, right?
Yeah.
But do you get any backlash for doing the social media stuff rather than just working? You know what I mean?
No, I think that at this point they kind of get it.
Understand
and, you know, I'll get, you know, I'm the one that's in the way, like holding the camera in their face, like, no, do it slower. I need that for content. Wait. Or like, go get me when you know, don't forget to get me when you're doing that one thing. So I think they know at this point, and you know, they joke and they get frustrated and things take longer and stuff, but they see the benefit of it. So, and everybody likes, you know, seeing the comments or, you know, the people reaching out to them individually. So I think
I think as long as like they see the fruits of it a little bit. Like if they see that like, hey, we're in the van, we're editing today, but this is like, okay, we made this connection, we did this thing, you know, we've grown this, it's leading to this opportunity. Like they see that it's not just like for nothing, you know what I mean? And honestly, they're kind of used to it. And when we are out there, I'm kind of in the way more than anything.
We do get that a lot. Just go back to the van, guys.
Don't you guys have van work to do today?
I can see that.
It's just like, it's fun. I mean, we're like a really tight-knit crew. And, you know, everybody takes what they do on the crew, like, really seriously. Like, they know, I think they know, like, how driven I am to take the business to the next level. Like they see that. They don't see it like, oh, Sean just wants to like go and like, you know, hang out and like, you know, go on vacation or something. Cause like I never do any of those things. It's like, you know, they see me, I'm editing a video at 10 o'clock at night or doing a design at 3 a.m. cause it's due the next day. Like they know I'm thinking about the business like 24/7 basically. So
all right, so this job site experienced some freezing temperatures and a dew point. We got frost overnight, and as you know, as frost keeps getting into the environment and gets into your base materials and subsoils, it's going to start causing problems. You're going to have a lot of active movement. Gator base is preventing the frost from getting down in. If you look down on here, frost has been forming on the surface. You can actually see me scraping ice off of it. So what I'm going to show you is the thermal effects of keeping frost above and on top of the gator base as opposed to going down and into your base material below, which would cause frost and thaw cycles. So you can see the frost here, and if I pick this piece up, there's no frost below, it's just moisture. So it's actually draining down through the drain holes. So the gator base, because it's such a great insulator, is preventing cold temperatures from transferring through and holding the ground temperatures from escaping.
So now you have the projects, you got the checklist, you're ready to rock and roll. How does the social media part of it come involved when you're in the project? Do you guys sit down and say, listen, I want on the YouTube channel or whatever you want, I want to educate our audience on this, and this. How does that play into part during your projects? Or is that just kind of on the fly?
A lot of it's on the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that like we want to make sure that we cover, or like, I mean,
or if there's like a special feature on this new one that we really want to highlight, we'll know about that ahead of time. But
the hard thing is like we've done so many videos now and so much content, and like even though every project is different in a lot of ways, it's still a deck and a patio and a roof. Like, you know, it's not like we're building a house one day and then building a boat the next day. Like, it's a lot of the elements are kind of similar. So we look at it as like we need to like constantly be brainstorming different ideas for what we can talk about, what we can educate about, and also like we have to really make sure that the design elements on a project are really cool, because like that's going to be the inherently interesting thing that people follow along for. Like, if we ever just get comfortable and like, you know, stop doing inlays that are unique or doing different patterns, like that's when people are like, all right, this is same old stuff. Like I've seen it once, seen it 100 times. So that like we have that pressure of like I always need to up my game, and that's always my goal, like to become a better designer and a better builder. So the videos and the content kind of help like put that pressure on you, like, because why is anyone going to watch if we just keep building the same thing over and over? They're not going to. So,
and kind of tricks of the trade and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And there's always little things that we can do, and we also want to have that kind of overarching like vibe that like, hey, if we can do this, you can do this. Like, I'm figuring out I learned almost everything I knew initially off of YouTube and stuff. So like, you know, I want to like empower people hopefully, because people reach out like, hey, how'd you get started in this? Like, what school did you go to do this? And I'm like, I learned it all like on YouTube, and like just, it's going to take you a long time at first because you don't know what you're doing. You got to do research, and like the jobs are going to take a while because you don't know what you're doing. But if you go at it with that attitude, like you're going to figure it out, because there's always new things that pop up no matter how good or experienced you are, that like problem solving and just thinking on your feet is a huge part of running a business and building anything. So you want to tell them about the kind of vibe that we, the mixture that we go for on our content,
our content,
how we explain it.
Yeah, we like to think of ourselves as a triangle of content. We want to be a mix of This Old House, The Office, and like an HGTV makeover show. So we try to, you know, we each have our own roles. Like we like to think that Anthony, he's like This Old House. He brings like a unique set of knowledge. Like really technical knowledge too, and then Sean is The Office because he's the
Michael Scott.
He's the fun boss.
That's kind of getting in the way sometimes. But then surprises you when you're like he does something that saves the day. And then Catherine's just kind of HGTV, I guess.
Yeah.
That seems like we've kind of pigeonholed you, but
well, we're all a little bit of everything, but
lady.
it's, you know, with the trifecta thing. So.
I like that. You know, when I look at, I could look at social media and look at your projects and know it's got that premier outdoor signature. You know what I mean? Like there's a look to it. You know what I mean? And you have that style. Moving forward with all the new products and everything out there, how do you keep coming up with these new ideas and being creative, and what really drives you to be creative and come up with new things?
I think the drive to come up with new things is just like building these projects is super hard. It's a lot of hard work. It's hot in the summer. It's freezing in the winter. Like, I don't want to be out there unless we're building something super cool that's exciting. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the redeeming quality about doing what we do is like, it's super cool. We haven't done this before. Like, I can't wait to see this. If we're just building the same 12 by 12 deck and patio every day, like, I don't want to do that. It's like, it's hard on your body. It's hard work. It's cold. It's hot. Like, that's the part that drives me, is like, and makes me excited about it. So, you know, I think if you have that as your primary driver, which that's always been for me, like, we want to make money. We want to be successful. We want to grow the business, but I've never put that as my top priority. Like, it's always, I want the emphasis. I want us to build around creativity and just doing the cool stuff that we can do, you know? Like, there's so many people doing absolutely insane stuff out there, and it's like, you know, I look at myself as just getting started. I got so much more to learn and, like, grow, and that's exciting, you know? Like, what can we come up with? I don't know. Hopefully it's cool.
Yeah.
And I think social media has been great for that. It really, you see what everybody else is working on, and you're like, that's so cool. We gotta we gotta really up our game. That thing's so cool. We gotta try something different.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm an artist too, and I used to always want to have my own ideas, right? I wanted everything to come from my heart and everything to be me. And I used to get stumped.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it? What is it? But then I used to take, I used to follow other artists and take pieces from here, and here, and here. What are your influences? Who do you guys look up to? Or is it the HGTVs and guys that you follow on TV that really influence you?
I think for me, it's more other contractors for sure. And I kind of look at it because there's no original idea out there anymore. Everything is a modification of something somebody else did. Everything, that's what art kind of is like an update to some other look or a spin on something. So I kind of look at it I consume a decent amount of content by just checking out what other people are doing, and I kind of look at it all that stuff is floating around in my brain, and it just kind of comes out of me when I'm starting a design. I don't know exactly where it comes from, and I think that's how you have to look at it. So you're not stealing people's ideas.
Right.
It's just that inspiration that's in your head, and you see an idea, you see one person do it, maybe you see another spin on it by somebody else, and that's what is just living in your brain somewhere, and then you're
how can I make it mine?
Yeah, and then it just comes out oh, I need something here, that idea needs to go here, and then also when you combine all those things on a project, put your own little spin on it, make it yours, that's where it all comes together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you do when you present this design to a customer and then they want to modify it?
Yeah.
And it becomes not yours. How do you approach that issue with a customer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost taking a little piece away from you.
It's you're taking a piece of my heart out.
Right?
I don't take it well at all.
No,
and the
I
clients
bet you
kind of
can.
know it. So our next project, we have this, I designed this crazy cantilever, it almost looked like there should be a roof post there, but there wasn't. So we had it kind of cantilever past the roof line and bear on a beam or on a post kind of further away. So at the corner of the roof structure, there was no post there. It was all open. And it was super cool.
So it created a balance,
sort of, yeah. You see a roof, there's always four posts on it.
Like an illusion. Yeah.
Exactly. But this, the post was, instead of being right on the corner, it was over 12 feet.
Yeah.
So I was super psyched about it. And then the client finally was we kind of want something a little bit more traditional. We wanted the post there, and and they were I know how much you wanted to do that. I feel so bad. And it's just it's crazy that my clients, and that's why they hire me, because I'm so passionate about it. But that they feel that bad to say
they're at home and hey Tom, how can we approach Sean with this?
Exactly. So it's always I think they appreciate the fact that I care so much, and that's why they hired us. But also it makes it kind of hard for them to be I know you're gonna hate me, but and in the end, it makes our job a little bit easier, because we would have had
structurally,
our architect was still doing beam calculations on I don't know how we're gonna do this. So it made it a little bit easier, and the job's still super cool. We got a million cool details in it, but it's just funny that they know that I care so much about these unique details that they're apologizing to me to change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we try to if somebody has their own vision for it, we see that real early in the process through a design consultation, and I'll just be hey, this, I don't think we're the right contractor for you, and just walk away from it. And luckily we've been able to weed a lot of those people out, and people are coming to us because they say, we want this awesome outdoor living space, but we don't know what we want. We don't know how it comes together. That's why we're coming to you. And I'm all right, I can tell you're going to be a good client. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. So
yeah, that was my next question. How, with the budget,
yep.
And I was asking Richard from RC Outdoors how to approach a budget.
Yep.
Is it ever a comfortable conversation with you, and how does that affect the plan moving forward? They might have this big dream,
yep.
Fire pit, structure, fireplace, maybe this and that, and it just doesn't meet the budget. How do you approach that with a budget and everything you want to do and everything they want to do?
Yeah.
How do you approach it? You got to cut stuff off.
Yeah, so I look at it, that's all, we go over all of that on that first design consultation. And we've thrown out some general pricing through email and stuff like that. There's pricing on our website. Like, most of our projects are in the, I don't know what it says now, between 100 and 150. You know, like bigger projects can be, you know, unlimited, whatever, you spend as much as you want. But I think it's never awkward for me, really, to bring it up, because I think a lot of contractors that think it's awkward, they say, okay, what's your budget? And that's it. That's all they say. And they're expecting the client to know what their budget should be. And it's like, I approach it like, all right, so, and this, we always do it at the end of the call. So like, hey, all right, it's been all fun. Like, we've just been talking about all these dreams and ideas, and hey, that's awesome. All right, now, I guess, have you guys thought about a budget? You know, and just kind of lead off it with that, and, or I'll say like, or are you not sure where to start with that? And most people are like, yeah, like, we honestly don't know. Like, we haven't done a project like this. I don't know where we should be. And a lot of contractors, like, they talk like, they think the client is trying to like get over on them. Like, they won't reveal their budget. And it's like, most people don't know. Like, you know, how would you know how much a full backyard, like, this is probably the first and only time they're going to do it. So like, most people don't know. So I'll say, okay, well, you know, we're talking about a roof, you know, it sounds like you're going to be around, I don't know, maybe 1,000 square foot deck. Like, you're looking at starting at like 150 probably. I'd say 150 to 250 is a comfortable area. And then I say, and we can go about the design in two different ways. They have to pay for the design. It's $2,500, and you can either set a hard cap on it. We have to pick a number. Like, you can either set a hard cap on it, and I'll design up to that, fit as many of these things in there as I can, and work with the functionality that I think you need. Or I can draw up all these ideas, and we'll just see what it costs, and then we can work our way backwards if necessary. But most of the time, after hearing all the fun stuff and like, oh yeah, you know, that'd be cool, do this cool idea, people are like, why don't you just draw it up with all the stuff, and then we'll see what it comes out at. And most of the people, they can afford it, but they just don't know like what it should cost. So it's not like them trying to slight you or get one over on you. It's just, it's not their job to know. It's your job as the professional to know. And you just need to be in a range. And we've had a couple people be like, you know, I'm not comfortable telling you like what I'm comfortable with. And it's like, well, then I can't do anything for you. What do you want me to do? You want me to draw you a patio that costs $100 or $100 million? Like, you got to give me in a range somewhere so that like we have something to work off of.
And that might be the screening process, right? If they're becoming too difficult.
Oh, for sure, yeah. We were joking about like, we're in a unique position where like we have this big presence online, so like we get so many inquiries, but we still only do like 12 projects a year. So it's like we can be insanely picky about who we work with, and it's almost like comical how almost like entitled we feel. Like, you say one thing to us, you're out. You tread lightly with us. But like, it's real. In reality, it's like it's them. They weed themselves out. You know, somebody really has to want to hire us if they want to wait a year, 9 months, 6 months just to talk to us on the phone. But we have to run our business that way. Like, we don't want to grow. Like, I don't want to be a salesperson out there every day. Like, I want to be on site. I want to be that's like who we are as a business. So we have to run it like that. And by doing that, like, the auxiliary benefit is like, if somebody's waited on a wait list for 6, 10, 12 months just to talk to us, they want to hire us. They know about us. They know what we do. And that's what they want to pay for. So it's worked out really well.
And that's how hard you worked for it, right?
Yeah.
And this is all coming together.
Yeah.
In process projects where you have to make modifications, how do you approach that with the contractor? Do you need to, they need to re-sign it, you know what I mean? Like upcharges or anything like that? And who handles that?
It depends. Why don't you walk them through our last job?
Oh gosh.
We learned a lot about
things just don't go so smoothly.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice because other contractors have, you know, a lot of contractors will do modifications, never keep track of it. Never, you know what I mean? At the end, they say, "Dude, you owe me $8,000." What do you mean, I owe you $8,000? You know what I mean? So how do you guys approach that for any of these contractors that need to know?
Yeah. So not on the last job that he's talking about, but before that, we did have a situation where we like didn't get everything written down, and there was a situation where it's like, okay, we're gonna get burned a little bit on this because it, wasn't documented properly, and that's on us. But this last job that we had, there were so many change orders. Like, just every day it was something different. So we learned we had to do a change order. It's, it's basically like just a receipt that we make them sign just to acknowledge that these things happened. And we try to be very transparent with what we put on there. We want everything on there. We want it detailed, and we put the price on there, and we have learned to make it as detailed as possible.
Now, does that hold the project up at all?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
The last one was just, it was comical.
It was
to a comical extent.
It was, yeah.
That, when you think you got everything together.
Yeah. And we were there like all summer, and we just felt like we lived there at that point. We're like, we just work for these people now. It's like every day something is changing.
Job. Yeah.
Those are the things. That's why I like to bring up these questions, because on social media, it doesn't show that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
There's so much behind the scenes that, and all the contractors run into it, and just the understanding of how you guys approach it, and, and the time spent to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure you're covering your butt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that one, like, the clients were amazing. Like, they are so, we're like pretty close with them now. Like, they are awesome. But the project just evolved. Like if what it ended up being was what it was initially like drawn up as, I would have been like, I don't think we're the right contractor for this. Like, we basically built an addition for them. We poured a slab foundation.
It started as like a sunroom. It started as a sunroom.
It was going to be an open pavilion. I was like, yeah, that's right in our wheelhouse. Totally. Yep.
Absolutely.
Then it was like, what really happened was they had 7 kids, and then found out that she was pregnant with their 8th, and that was like, all right, we need to reevaluate some things. We might need like this to be more living space, like heated and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then like a month after that, she was like, I actually found out it's twins. So
9.
It threw everything into like kind of chaos, and we were just like slowly adding. All right, well,
did that turn into a bedroom?
No, it's actually an area that the kids apparently aren't allowed in. It's just like their spot where it's got cool bar top, but like we poured a concrete foundation for it with footers, and the walls are insulated. It's got heat and AC. It's got heated floors. It's got a fireplace. It's got finished ceiling. I never thought that we would do drywall. There's a drywall wall on the one side.
You can build a house now.
We basically built like the smallest little house. And it's like, and it was just like one thing after another. Like, all right, well, we're doing this. We might as well add doors to it. So then like we did these huge 10 and 12 foot accordion doors. And then it's like, well, now that it's enclosed, we might as well insulate it. Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, now it's insulated. We might as well do a mini split system to heat and cool it. And then it's like, all right, well, since now we're doing tile, we might as well do heated floors. All right, well, now that we're doing this, we might as well. So it's just like every day. Yeah. And Catherine eventually had to be like, because another part of it was this tiny house for their nanny to live in. And like then there were some problems with where they bought that from, and they were like, Sean, please build us a tiny house. Like, we'll just let you do it. And, they kind of knew me too well. Cause like if you get me
Sean
excited about something, I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, yeah, like that sounds fun. Totally. Yeah. Wow. Tiny house. Catherine's like, we have to at some point be done with this job. You cannot agree to build them a house.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
So that was a very needed. You probably should have intervened earlier in the process and been like,
yeah. Well, it's a hard balance. You want them to be happy with the project when they're done. You don't want to be leaving and have them wanting more things. So. Yeah. To a point, I got it, but then at the tiny house, I was like, I'm drawing the line. We are not tiny house builders. Yeah. It would take somebody like 2 months to build that, and we don't have any of the things, we would be there for longer. And I was like, we can't be here for an entire year. We've got to move on. Yeah. We've got other people waiting.
How far did it go past your scheduled time?
No, we're not done yet. So.
Yeah. It's like we're like basically done, but the tiny house, like they ran into all these issues with the
permits and stuff.
The shed lot that they bought it from. They found out it wasn't insulated. And like it was just a whole thing. So we're basically completely done. They finally got the place ended up insulating the thing, so that's done. They had to get their plumber in there to run water and sewer to the tiny house slab. So look, really all we have to do is pour a slab for it.
Yep.
And a little bit more joint sand, and we're completely done. But it's just drug on. So we've been basically done for like a month and a half now, but the guys are there today getting the slab ready, prepping it, forming it, and we'll probably be there for like little minor things for like, I don't know, probably the rest of our lives. I don't know. It's like, there was so many other contractors they hired. They had a pool put in. They had, they used their fence guy to do fencing and everything. So like we were held up on some of that stuff, and it was just, and so much stuff got added. It was insane.
Do you normally go from job to job?
Yeah.
Where this one you had to juggle?
Yeah.
2 jobs or 2 or 3 jobs at once, or just 2 jobs?
Just 2 jobs.
Just 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it.
You're set in stone. Let's finish one, complete, get paid, let's move to the next one.
Yeah.
That's how it should work. You know what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't like that lingering feeling of like still just having like little knick-knack things to do. It's so much easier to just be like, okay, this one's off our plate.
Yeah.
Start fresh, go to the next one.
Absolutely.
Who collects a check?
Me. Write the checks out to me. Paid in cash.
No, guys, I really appreciate you sitting down.
How many hours we've been talking,
I
man?
don't know, but it goes quick, though.
I know, man.
I don't want to leave here.
Me either, man. It's so much fun.
We sat down with RC Outdoors, and it was the same thing, dude. I was like, we could sit here and talk all day. Thank you, guys. The day in the life of Premier Outdoor. Catherine, thank you. Sean,
Thank you.
You guys are amazing.
It,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.